I'm trying to use the AI.
I'm doing React Native now these days, and it's a mess.
That was multiple sprints.
I cannot stand JavaScript.
What are you having the most success with on AI?
The languages are like these, but the frameworks are
like
Yeah, that's what we're picking up.
It is
like a million.
much nicer in 99% of cases.
For like
What
I'm
so I
operating
feel
at,
then
like,
it has a
200
front end.
bucks.
I appreciate that. It makes me wonder basically all the sensibility stuff. It's like, yeah, it's like it's there, but then you start to use like one of Apple's actual frameworks, and they're like, oh yeah, we don't do
And also
any
moving
of that.
into
Like you're on your own.
moving into like plan because it's really good at
Just
reading.
main actor,
It's not
everything
as
is
good
good.
at actually generating.
I
like,
still
it's
have not
to, you know, so it's a great
my
idea.
head around all that.
Like I feel like I get it in a perfect world, but then like I try to hit like one location, and I'm like I have no idea what's going on. Because there are times when you can say something's main actor, and it's just like I'm not feeling it, and so it still doesn't work.
Yeah, right.
That is cool. We'll take a block of code and say run on the main thread.
Yeah.
Actor just like treat it like its own thread, right wherever.
Yeah. And we have
So
an
it's just a way
in-house
of-
thing of full
it's a way of
skills,
your-
commands,
basically a
just plugins and stuff like that that I've been using.
Okay.
It's one that's called the Next Engineer.
There's a little bit more.
It doesn't 10x us, but anyway, it's useful because it has like a plan.
So good evening, everybody. Thank you all for being here this evening. It really does excite me. Welcome to February's iOS Developer User Group. And for those of you who this is your first time on campus or the first time back on campus, welcome to the Capital One campus. I am Russell Mirabelli. Most of you know me personally. I apologize for that. I am a software developer on the platforms team here at Capital One. And what that means is I provide tools for all of our iOS developers to use as they develop the many applications that we have in the Capital One umbrella. Yes, it's true that the flagship, Capital One app is the number one that we think about when we do the platforms. The tools that I build are used by everybody. And it's really nice to see people back from 5 years ago. Because for some of y'all, it's been 5 years since I've seen you, and it's really wonderful to see you again. I like programming and graphics things, so we're gonna have some fun tonight. Let me see what else. It's being recorded. So today, we're going to do something that is going to be directly applicable for at least one person in the room, but might be just more fun for most of the people in the room, and that's fine. We're going to be working with RealityKit today. So RealityKit, if you're not familiar with it, it comes from basically Apple's Scene Kit and AR Kit frameworks. If you remember those from many years ago, it is the primary mechanism for bringing 3D content into applications. So that's really fun. A lot of the documentation specifically targets Vision OS, but everything that I'm going to be doing tonight actually is targeting iOS. It's not that different between the two. If you've done any Vision OS development, it is very similar to setting up iOS stuff. So it's great. It does handle augmented reality stuff as well as general 3D, but really all I'm going to be doing is general purpose 3D work tonight. I am expecting that you probably don't know much about 3D graphics, or it's been a while. So that is the audience that I'm, yes, I'm talking to y'all, but that is who I designed this for. How I designed this was to talk to people who haven't had a chance to do 3D in a while or ever. So bear with me if stuff seems obvious to you. And in the very likely case where I go faster than you're comfortable, please tell me to slow down and I will slow down and answer questions. I've got a handful of topics and I'm going to kind of bounce between them a little bit, but this should be fun for us. So we're going to start off in Xcode. Let's go over to Xcode and fire up a new project. A new iOS app. And we're going to call this February Meetup Sketch app. Sure, fine. That's a long name, doesn't mean anything. And we're just making an iOS app. That's all that we need to get started with. Is everybody, do I need to crank that text size up for y'all?
That's perfect. Thank you.
Is that good? A little bit more?
A little bit
Good?
more, please.
A little more, you said?
There you go.
The young guy in the room.
So import RealityKit. All right, that's 99% of the work we have to do. Let's see, and we've got our preview already loading up. All right, so if we want to have one of these, if we want to have a RealityKit view inside of SwiftUI, and I'm only talking SwiftUI today, that is really easy. We simply we add in a reality view. That's it. And now we have a reality view, but we have to take in a parameter named content. All right, and that's it. Oh, content in. There we go. All right, and now we've got a ridiculous amount of space that's allocated for our reality view content. Cool. So, and by the way, it is so nice to be working with a functional preview.
Amen. Amen.
So
You're here.
don't know about the state of everybody in the room's projects, but when you work on a really big project, it's really easy for preview to stop deciding to participate in the process.
All the time.
Maybe you've experienced this.
Never works.
Where you change something, it crashes every 30 seconds.
Never works.
Did
your second.
And we're going to throw it in a reasonably sized frame just for funsies.
Full autocomplete.
Yeah. So I've had so much luck with autocomplete with this over the past couple of days. As a matter of fact, let me turn you off here. Because you're just going to annoy me by telling me all kinds of functions that don't exist.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's really.
Don't know if anybody has that experience either. All right, so let's say we're going to start off by just making a primitive shape and showing it in a reality view, right? So we're going to let let's say a sphere. Let's say a sphere equals mesh resource dots generate sphere. How about that? And we'll give it a radius of, I don't know, 3, whatever 3 means. Then we're going to create a material for that. Simple material with just a color. I like blue because it's easy to spell. And is metallic. Sure, we'll make it a metallic sphere. And then we'll just add that to our content. All right, so what we need to do, oh, come on. Yeah, that's right. I stepped away too soon. So let entity equals a model entity where we've got a mesh, that is that sphere. And then materials are that material. Okay. Content add the entity. There we go. Now you're not going to bark at me. All right. So what's worth knowing is that there are, and that sphere may not be. Let me try another mesh here. I don't have it. Let's go with a radius of 1. So there are a bunch of various generators for different kinds of meshes, and there we go. The sphere of size 3 was too large, and so it wasn't displaying. All right. So real easy. We've got a nice 3D sphere appearing. Reality views. This is the primary way that we are allowed to display models inside of RealityKit on iOS. On Vision OS, you can there's actually a model view available, but that's not available on iOS. So it's safer to go with a reality view. And that has this concept of content, which includes all of the objects that we might want to get into a view. Here we've got just a really simple little ditty. So we're not going to stay with this. We're going to move on beyond this. Will get more interesting as the evening progresses. But we can see that we have the ability to create an entity. And from here, we can also programmatically change that entity on screen. We can, put a transform on it. In fact, we're going to put a transform on an entity in just a little bit. And I'll talk about what transforms even mean at that time. But right now we can see it's not that hard to get a 3D object onto the screen. All right, so next I want to talk a little bit about Reality Composer Pro, right? And this is a tool that we can use to make scene assets. So I'm going to create a project and I'm going to call it February Meetup Assets. Sure, why not?
Is Reality Composer Pro, is that like a purchase app or is that a?
That is already in your developer tools menu.
So it comes
in
along
Xcode.
with, like the icon builder or whatever.
Yes, it's already installed. Cool. It's working. It's taking up your hard drives.
Great.
They integrate with Xcode, so this is like back to the old days where Interface Builder was outside the.
It is so you can look at the files,
Okay.
but they're fairly complex, and so they kept it separate. I don't know. Everybody, maybe it's because everybody doesn't need this. Right? All right. So here we go. We've got, oh man, we've got a beautiful empty white 3-dimensional viewport. Isn't that nice?
Lovely.
Do you want me to turn off light mode and turn on dark mode? Does that make your eyes better?
Yeah,
Some people get offended by light mode. Appearance, dark. We'll go dark for now. All right, so we've got a beautiful 3D plane. So what this allows us to do is it allows us to create a fully realized scene that we can load into a reality view or elsewhere inside of our Vision app. And it is built to handle sound assets, timeline assets, shaders, and just general objects. So we can bring in an item from the built-in library. If we wanted to bring in a model of the Earth, just tap on it. I haven't used this one before, so it has to download it real quick. And then we have a model of the Earth showing up in our 3-dimensional space. That's not all that exciting, but I mean, it's a thing, right? So there's a fairly good library of various things that we can use, but we're going to be working with simple shapes for the most part this evening. So we can easily put a sphere in there, and instead of saying a simple material like that, we can actually provide a different material for that. We can go into our library here, and there is a group of various materials that we could use. So I could say, make it look like, scratched metallic paint. And then I can set the binding on it, set the binding on the material for the sphere to that metallic paint. We have a metallic sphere. Okay, so the various panes. We've got a project browser. This is where we're going to see all of the assets that we have available to us. This is our scene browser that allows us to see what is in a particular scene. One of our files can contain multiple scenes, right? So the scene is the collection of cameras and lights and objects, right? And it's set up by default for the most part. But we've got that. You'll see that I touched material bindings here. This is going to be the number one thing that I'm going to be changing today is materials, right? But you might say spheres. I am building things that don't deal with spheres. I need some real objects. Where do I get those from? So your best bet is to have artists at your disposal who are ready to create 3D objects. There are a couple of alternatives. So the first is you can go on out to you can buy various model assets that are already built and textured. And for tonight, I've actually brought in one, and I'm going to show you. Well, I'm not going to go through the whole pipeline, but you can use the tool Blender to bring in just about any object and then convert that to a USD file. A USD file is a universal scene descriptor file, and a USD file basically is, again, a camera, lights, objects. So I did that, and I've got in my downloads, I grabbed a copy of the Dallas skyline, and I brought that in as an object. And let's take a look at what that looks like. There we go, finally loaded. And that's big, and it's pink. It's darn ugly. That is because this is an untextured object. This is an object that was created for purposes other than displaying on screen. And so it doesn't have all the textures and materials that you would expect. But we could even use this by replacing that default pink material with something else. We could bring in that metallic one, right? And we can say, hey, use that metallic paint texture. And here we go. We can start to see that apply. Oh, look at that. I have two of them in there. No wonder. So we can see that material applying there. Or we could bring in concrete.
Is USD file types the only files it's compatible with? Do you know if it's compatible with FBX or?
You can convert FBXs in Blender to USDs, and then it'll work with it just fine. Okay. Right. And so
is USD an Apple specific?
It is not. It is a Pixar format.
Interesting. Okay, that makes sense. I'm like, I haven't worked with it, so I was like, wonder who's file.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're familiar with the history of Pixar, it totally makes sense.
Yep.
So they would use the Pixar format, right? So now that we've got, so that's cool. We can bring in models. Another way that we can create models, if you want to bring in just arbitrary models, is on your phone, you can download an app, Reality Composer, and that'll allow you to do photogrammetry. Photogrammetry is where you basically pull out your camera and you walk around an object, usually 3 times, and it takes about 80 pictures to 200, it takes somewhere between 60 and 200 pictures. And it composes those into a point cloud with textures so that you can bring that model in. And I have one of those handy also. Get rid of the Dallas.
Does it bring in the textures like separate from the object, or is it all in
It's
one?
all in the USDZ. So I'll bring in, let's see, import.
If I remember correctly, it was a color applied to each point, so I don't think you could separate them.
No?
In the old days, it wasn't. It was a color applied to each point and you couldn't separate the two. But that
You
was
might be able
using,
to slap a material over the top.
you'd have to slap a material on top. But this is like, the last time I did that was
8 years ago.
6 years ago when they first introduced it.
So I've got an object here that I just scanned the other day, just a mug, because what else do you know,
Cool.
you'll look around the house and it's like, what am I gonna take? I'm not gonna scan it in. So, but
It looks like-
it worked reasonably well. It took about 4 minutes to process the photos into a USDZ. The file size on the USDZ is reasonable. It's a small number of megabytes, like 6 megabytes. But it took 80 pictures to do it. I tried to do it. There is a way to, in Reality Composer Pro, to build one raw. But the problem is when you do that, it asks you to give it a bunch of files. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'll take a half a dozen pictures here. That was nowhere near enough. I would have had to take just as many pictures. So yeah, I'm not.
So did this convert it to an actual mesh or is it still a point cloud now?
It's a USDZ.
It just works.
It's an.
I honestly do not know. Let's take a look and see if there's any information we can see.
I mean, you could throw it in a blender and find out real quick.
Geometry, there you go. It's got an actual
So
mesh.
It actually created, okay, I don't remember it.
So it's got
About
a
6
mesh
years
and
ago, I didn't
materials.
think it did that.
Yes.
Oh, so if you change the material or the texture, does it give you?
Let's see.
That's new.
It says it has texture there.
Oh, that's badass.
Make it stronger, it works, I think. Or at least it worked for the built-in models, because I made the
Stronger?
plane. Yeah, there's a weaker, stronger, I think. I made
Oh,
the
is there a
plane.
modifier?
Yeah, like if you go, Russell, if you go into the material right under the,
There you go.
Oh,
Yeah.
Wow.
You can't. So it's a lot better than the last 6 years.
Hey, 6 years, hey, we can
Technology.
change colors now. Hey.
2026.
That's pretty cool. Where is it?
It's
stronger.
You go into the model and there's the binding and then you can do weaker, stronger.
Oh,
So the
so
stronger-
you can blend
Yeah,
materials.
the stronger, I
Silver
think,
line.
supersedes whatever else
That
is on
makes
there, yeah.
Interesting.
That's
Not
pretty
gonna
cool.
pretend to know for sure,
A
but.
couple of different ways we can get models into.
That is cool.
See. All right, so that's just the first of a couple of times that we're going to visit Reality Composer. I'm going to go back to Xcode, and we're going to do something cool there now. Purportedly cool,
In your
Super
mind.
cool. Don't sell yourself short, man.
So we're going to create. So drawing spheres is really kind of not all that awesome. I mean, if you want to have beautiful 3D bullets on a list, maybe, but nobody's downloading Sphere Display App 1, right? Nobody's asking for that. But something that maybe somebody could use would be having some text that appears in 3D. So that could be cool. So I'm gonna let a text mesh equals a mesh resource dot generate text. Hello, Alice. And we'll give it a few parameters here, like extrusion depth to say how deep we want the letters to be. I'll say that we're going to give it a pretty small number, 0.015. A font. And we don't just hand it any font, we hand it a mesh resource dot font dot system font of size 0.06. These are values that work for me, right? Container frame of .0, alignment, that's dot center, and you know how that works. It's never center when we expect it to be. And a line break mode dot by truncating tail. That's cool, right? So we can, so that's going to generate, it's not going to display text on the screen. It's going to take our text and turn that into a 3D mesh that we can then manipulate by putting materials on it and transforms on it. So
Is if you put a reality view inside of a scroll view, does that automatically give the object, like you can mess with it?
no, there are
Is that
other
a different
ways,
modifier?
there are other controls that you do to put that up.
Understood. Understood.
The material equals a simple material of color, and we'll say that's green this time. And is metallic true? Because I like the metallics, right? And let entity equals a model entity with the mesh of that text mesh and materials. And then add that entity. And that should give us a block of text. But that, holy cow, that's teeny tiny. Okay, so we need to make some changes to that mesh to bring it into somewhere that is more usable. And what we're going to do for that is a transform. So transforms, if you're not familiar with that phrase from 3D graphics, there are three different ways that we modify a three-dimensional object. There is translation, which is moving it from place to place. There is scaling, which is the size. And then there's rotation, which is how the mesh is transformed, rotating it around a grid. And fortunately, we have helper routines that allow us to easily set up transforms on all of our objects. It used to be, so this is where I get to say back in my day, right? Because back in my day, if I wanted to do this, I would have to like I had a bunch of basically matrix multiplication routines that I wrote. You would have to, set those up and all that kind of stuff. You don't have to do that anymore. You just have to say, let's make a change. So let's start.
You have to make sure your object's origin is 0.
So we can say that entity
Skewed.
transform equals a transform, right? And then we just say what we want to change. So we can just say we want the scale to be SIMD, and a SIMD is single instruction, multiple data. So it's a SIMD of floats, and we'll go 222.
Whoopsie.
Preview crossed.
That never happened.
And 22.
And it's so rare.
More 222. There we go. Now it should be able to. Now it should be able to figure it out. There we go. So now it's a little bit bigger.
Transforms.
So you just increased all
Double the
I
size.
axes
increased-
by a factor of 2?
Yes, on every point
Uh-huh.
was multiplied by that factor.
Understood.
So
And you can do non-uniform scaling as well, just
that is correct. You could do only you could do a 3 and make it taller.
Yeah.
Right. Start making it wider. Give it a little more depth. Let's move that though to the side though, because where it is not so helpful. So translation And what I'll do there is negative 0.500. Yeah, so all of that joy that I had a little while ago about the simulator actually working.
This is one of those things where you think they
It's
pick
all
it up from,
gone.
what was it, playgrounds, where it would
Yeah.
start running until you stop typing?
Yeah.
So there we go. That's getting there. Let's see what I can do. I want to make that, let's see. Let's go 333, 3.5. Okay, so we're scaling it up a little bit. Gonna bring it over a little bit more to the left. We can go all the way to -1 probably. There we go, starting to look kind of reasonable. But that's a single rotation that I've applied to it, a single transform that I've applied to it. And that's not cool. So if we want to do something cool, we need to animate this. We need to have a value that's changing, right? So we're going to do that. And what we're going to do is we're going to set up a subscriber to the scene's update event. So the scene is going to post a message to a combined subscription. And it's going to basically make that post every frame, and we're going to change the contents every frame. But again, this isn't that hard. So I'm going to create a class rotator. Right, so here I'll go let rotator equals rotator with a capital R. There we go. And I've got a rotator in there. And the rotator, since I'm going to be doing a subscription, I need to hold on to a set of cancelables, right? That shouldn't come as a surprise. So var cancelables equals a set of any cancelable. And I'm probably misspelling that. And I need to import combine. There we go. So now I've got cancelables. And there's two L's in cancelable, so I'll go ahead and fix that there. So then what I need to do is I'm going to say that I've got a function func on tick.
Sometimes the API throws two L's, sometimes
Oh,
one L.
all right, so I've got a function that's going to get called on ticks.
Yeah, when they cancel that.
So on tick, we're going to the entity, the scene. We will subscribe to scene events .update.self. And there's a handler for it. All right, so it looks like any other setting up of a combined subscription. We're using one of the best things about using the Apple tools is it stays in the languages and the ways of doing things that we're used to. And I do appreciate that. All right, so we're going to go ahead and set this up in here on tick. No, rotator on tick with the entity. And really the on tick is setting it up. It's not doing it. The body here is what's going to do the on tick. And then we will store in cancelables. Okay, so what are we going to do during this subscription event? It's real easy. We're going to figure out what time has passed, right? So let delta time equals float conversion of the event, EVT. Why did I abbreviate that? Event, there we go. No bad habits here. Event dot delta time. The delta time is just how much time has passed since the last time we were called, right? Hopefully that's not a surprise to you. And then we'll say, we're gonna have a speed factor here. So let speed factor equals 1.0, and that'll be a float also. Right, gotta specify that they're floats so we can actually do multiplication. And then we'll say, let the rotation equals a SIMD quaternion. Okay. And really, you don't have to, there's not a whole lot here. It's just, what is the angle? You set up the angle that you want. So that'll be rotation speed or speed factor times delta time. And then you say the axis and which of the axes that rotation will be applied to. Okay, so you don't have to go in and say, I want this much of rotation on the x-axis, this much on the y-axis, this much on the z-axis. It's all set up in the one SIMD. And then, go ahead, there. And then we will just say entity dot transform. Transform dot rotation. So we can set up just that one component of the entity's transform every time that the callback is made equals rotation. Actually, we need to do a quick multiplication of that because we need to get its current rotation and then apply our change. So once again, SIMD multiply, and we're going to take in the entity transform dot rotation and put that up against the rotation SIMD quad F, and then we'll have a beautifully rotating, spinning little hello world for ourselves. We can change the speed by changing that speed factor up and down. So hey, we got some fun stuff going on. This is starting to be mildly interesting, which is good because I have only gotten through a very small amount of my content.
If you change that to 0.5 on the axis, would that be, or I guess 0 on, which?
Just slow it down.
I'm just wondering, like right now it's rotating around the bottom of the.
It's just gonna change the speed, not the position.
Just
Okay, that's just speed.
You'd have to do a translation to do that.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, basically,
So the
text is
written
anchored.
above. It's written above.
yeah, the
bottom
text
left-hand
is
corner
anchored
is
on the
0.
bottom at 0. You have to
Okay.
move it down.
So if
So
you
you
wanted,
translate it first and then.
if you wanted to spin in the middle, you probably translate half, spin, then translate back.
Yeah.
Every
Every time.
good old graphics.
It's ugly.
It's a lot of work to do.
All right,
Yeah.
which is why I'm not going to do any more coding this evening.
Well, we have graphics.
The rest of the evening, I've just got one more thing that I'm going to do because
PCR thing hit the
again,
corner.
like I prepared a little bit more than we have time for, but that's the way that I always go. Well, dude, it's 7, right? Yes, we have time, but not an infinite amount. And this next one is, actually, no, these 2 more things I have to do. So we're going to go ahead in Reality Composer Pro and we're going to create a another thing. We'll go this February assets 02. Sure, why not?
Wednesday.
And we're gonna create a new thing, and we're gonna drop a sphere because working with spheres is the main way that we do things. Now we can resize this in one of two ways. I want to have a slightly larger sphere. We can either change the radius of the sphere here. I can say that's a 75 centimeter sphere instead of a 10 centimeter sphere, or I can do a scaling of it over here. So I can say that's a 2, put in a scale factor of 2, and now that's doing a scale of 2 on 75. Right now I have it set to lock all of those 3 scales, but you don't have to. You can keep those separate on your.
Is there one that's more efficient than the other, or is it just doesn't matter?
Okay,
Just make it
so
easier for numbers.
it's better to set the size, or basically the earlier on you're working in the scene, it's better to set the actual size, like in centimeters or meters. It's once you start getting further along, translation that's when scaling starts to become more useful.
Gotcha. So you get it about the right size and you can scale it down the road to make it.
It's that plus, scaling can get hairy. Because it can affect other things that are going on. Okay, so there we go. We've got a sphere. All right, and so one of the things that we've got here, I said we have a project browser here that's the scene. But the thing that's the coolest, in my opinion, because I like cool things, is the ShaderGraph. Now, the ShaderGraph is a way for us to change the way that things appear in 3D. It's a way it's more than just applying a texture. It is a way to radically transform every pixel that we are rendering on the object. A shader computes, basically what a shader program does is it goes and edits the geometry and it says, for this pixel in the geometry, what color should I be? Right? It's a really, it's a fairly cool thing that's going on. So we're going to go ahead and in the sphere, we're going to bind ourselves to that new material that we've got. Right? So now I've got a gray cookies. I've got a gray sphere, right? We haven't really moved the ball at all yet. Now we're going to get into the fun stuff. All right. So let's say that I want to, instead of this being one color, I want it to be a couple of different colors. I can actually set it up to be a color mix on there. There are a lot of these nodes that we can put in this graphical scene graph, way more than I can reasonably talk about tonight. But I'm going to go through a couple of them as we learn about them. So this mix takes 2 different colors. Right, I'm going to set this up as a separate entity for each of them. Okay. So that's 2 different colors, and I'm going to set this one to be maybe white, and this one to be, let's say, blue. And I don't know about you, but I prefer the crayon chooser for my colors because I embrace my inner kindergartner. All right, so now I'm mixing between the 2, and you can see down here I've got a floating point value of 0, which means I'm pulling all of the background color and some of the foreground color, but I could change that to be 0.5, and then I get a hazy blue. Okay, that's still not interesting though. So now what we're going to do is we're going to say that we want a different. We want some of the pixels to be blue, some to be white, and some to be a blend, right? And so we're going to do that by mixing these using noise. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create a fractal noise node. And that it's just a kind of noise that it can create. And I'm going to use the output of that to control the mix. Now we can already see that we've got some light blue and some white in there, right? We can see in this cube here, we've got some degree of difference. Okay, good enough. That's a starting point, but it's not enough. So the reason it's not enough is because like it would be good if that moved, right? So we're going to provide that fractal with our actual position on the screen. So I put in a position node and I can change that to be, it normally is by default in object space, but we can also put it in world space. And what that'll allow us to do is it'll allow us to put that material on multiple spheres and they won't all look the same, right? Because it'll be based on where they are in the world. All right. Still not moving, Russell. What's the deal, yo? All right. So what we're going to do then is we're going to take that position and we are going to add that with the time. So I'm going to detangle this here. That this is going to go into an add node. We're going to add the position to the time. And now we've got a moving blend. So,
Clouds in the sky.
yeah, like clouds in the sky, little fluffy clouds. So, we have all kinds of mathematical operations that we can perform. And you'll notice that we are adding a vector 3 of the position, right? Position is a 3-dimensional point in space. But it'll handle converting our time as single float and doing an addition there for us.
Nice.
So that's really great. That simplifies things so much. Okay, but you know what? That's going too fast. So we're going to go ahead and slow that down a little bit by doing a multiply by a floating point value. And we'll pump the multiplied value in there. And so I'll say like 0.2, 0.2. And now it's going to move a little bit slower. So that's a little bit more elegant looking. And then we can, let's see, what else can we?
Have you thought about applying a normal map?
So we totally can. It's very easy to create another fractal 3D, any noise node really, and dump that into the normal.
Yeah. So now it's all weird.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of things that you can do that will suddenly turn this into a what just happened,
Yeah.
right? This is honestly a place where like taste starts to come in and you have to spend time like, I suppose that there are those individuals with the experience and depth of understanding who can develop a shader graph, understanding exactly what's going to happen no matter what they do.
Yeah.
I'm not that guy.
Not the first time. There's nobody can do that.
I was 5 years ago. Now I haven't touched Substance Designer.
Can you inject shader code directly into this? Is there a block to like put custom code into it?
I think you would have to do that from Xcode.
Yeah, it probably
You can
would
apply
be
a shader
Swift
through.
or C.
I was wondering if you could inject it here though. Like,
Yes, you can.
like I want to put one little module in there with custom code
in
and do
Xcode.
something.
Oh, like a script, writing a script?
You
Yeah,
apply
you
it to
could definitely
model
do that.
like
It's
shader.
probably its own object in there.
That's what I was asking.
All right, so there we go. I'm gonna get rid of that.
Put in like
normal,
Substance
because that
Designer,
does
for
not-
instance, or Unreal Engine, yes. I would assume since they're basically taking Substance Designer's design one for one, that you could. But
By the way, you can also just put one of those fractal noises directly on the color and you'll get that too. Right, you can do all kinds of adding together of colors, multiplying colors. I really just, I've got one last thing that I want to do, which is I want to bring this globe. I'm going to give it a different color here. Instead of that white, I'm going to go with something a little more vibrant. There we go. That's a little bit more vibrant. And I'm going to save that. And then I want to see that here in my content view. So I'm going to do the cheaters method there, right? And what I need to do is I need to bring in that February content that I just made as a package. So I'm going to add a package dependency, add local, and which is February assets 02, add package. And it's going to bark at me. Why is that? Because Apple's tools are broken. One more time.
Never.
I know that's a shock to you. And nobody has ever experienced that before. February assets 02, this package.swift, there's a bug in it. And in the package.swift, it says Vision OS 0.26. Put a V there.
That's awesome.
Good job.
Dude, they can freaking put a little VCR and get that link in there, dude.
Add package. How long did it take me to find that, y'all?
Oh, probably a week or two.
An hour and a half?
It was probably about 30 minutes.
That's
But that
awful.
was a brutal 30 minutes.
Was that like a forum
Absolutely.
find, or did you just stumble?
That was
upon
just
it?
me going through the package and saying, what is different? Because if you build a Vision OS
Yeah.
app, it creates it correctly.
Of course it does.
So I just started diffing. I said, okay, what is different between the Vision OS
Great, right,
and
right
the
to that.
raw
Yeah.
created one?
I can hear a project manager right now. No one's gonna use this for iOS, bro. It doesn't even matter. No, we don't need that.
Are they
That's
using
so
different
rare.
libraries that write out the same file for different applications? Sure, it seems like it.
So then we're going to import
You'd think you use the same one.
February assets.
Some
Yeah,
sort of
the template.
templating thing.
Right? Wait, do I need to bring that in? No, I don't. Oh, wait,
That's
did we
six
copy
months.
that in?
So it's
Oh,
Nobody's gonna go back.
did I bring it in properly?
No, they just make a new version next time.
I wish you could just drag and drop into the file navigator. That would be nice.
Kind of cool, isn't it?
Add package
Like other-
dependencies, February assets.
Like VS Code.
Add package.
I hate to say it, Microsoft has.
Microsoft's too small.
It is being difficult on
I
me.
hate to say it.
Well, you can.
Their
just like what
IntelliSense
they do.
back in the
Let's
aughts,
see.
their IntelliSense was shit.
I get it. because
Let's
of
see if
that.
I've got notes
Yeah,
on how to
I
do
actually
this.
Bought a
Still under.
a third party.
Oh, hey, that's great. I don't have notes on how to do this.
Routinely
All right.
go in and clean the IntelliSense database. 'Cause it was fun.
No.
Past you was just setting yourself up for learning. on
little
coding.
kids.
Well, okay, so I don't have my notes handy anymore, so I'm gonna stop there. Also, I'm at 5 till 7. It was not going to show you anything more than the dot showing up in the middle of the screen, but it
Still
does
cool,
work.
though.
So,
That's
Um,
awesome.
so anyway, a couple of things, like I said, this is just some funsies. Hopefully you saw something that you haven't seen before, saw different ways of using the things you already know. Or at least the next time somebody says, why don't we have why don't we put cool 3D stuff in our app? You can say, okay, this is what it's gonna take. Because that's actually the most important thing is understanding what it's gonna take.
Yeah.
I kind of bulldozed my way through this tonight because, man, getting into the details is pretty tough. All right, so next month, we're in a meeting on the 17th. Same bat time, but totally different bat location. We're gonna be in the town center building, which is where we were in January, but in a different room in that building. We'll be on the first floor. So that's on the 17th. I will post it, I'll post it to LinkedIn. Oh, it
Green
is.
beard.
Oh. And today is Mardi Gras.
Yeah.
Tuesday.
You're picking the days.
I'm picking the days, man.
Got it.
Easter Sunday and then April, you know. Might as well.
All right, but again, so thanks everybody for coming out. I really appreciate it. Are there any questions that I can quickly field about this stuff?
I don't know about quickly, but
Yeah.
what about, obviously you have the ability to generate these and put them and display them.
Mhm.
What about like interacting with them or manipulating the
You're-
RealityKit view?
Yeah, you can absolutely do that. That's a whole different set of stuff,
They just picked up.
right? And I'm willing to take that. If you would like me to come back with that next month, I'm happy to use that as a topic for next month.
I know it'd be helpful for me, but I don't know if anybody else.
Most-
For that asset generation GUI that you were in, I think someone over here might have answered it earlier, but like, can you import from like a Ghost file and then it'll create the GUI from there? So like, let's say you get started and like you're using Claude to generate some rudimentary version.
I've seen
So-
some there.
So are the shaders,
Yeah.
you actually bring this in through.
And that was 5 years ago, so I'm sure it's even worse. But Adobe bought it, so maybe it's exactly the same. It was a really, really great product.
Build
And
the scene.
as soon as I graduated, Adobe bought it. And they took away my education.
Apart from that, I hope that I see y'all next month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for taking the
Thank you,
time. It doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be me that's talking at you.
To say, get this asset from this bond.